All right, the red light is officially on. We're back, the Fight Banana Show live. To my left, not even just Miss Maddie Levine and Coco.
What's Gucci?
I don't even know what that means. Anyways, underneath, but always on top, the best in the biz, the ruthless one, Elle Dawson. Elle, how are you?
I'm in portable today.
I hear you. You have something stinky that you're en route to. It is what it is, but
yeah.
Well, hopefully this will be the positive part of your day, and we'll get to talk all things fight stuff.
I know.
Yeah.
So we had a script, and we don't even do a script, but we had something, and then literally 30
More
minutes.
like I try to make Dave prepare, and he's like, "No, fuck you. I'd rather just go with the flow." And I'm like, "No." So it sounds like it's going out the door because we got some breaking news that came down the pike, minutes ago?
Yeah, minutes ago. Seize the throne, February 24th in Saudi Arabia. They're finally going to do me and Elle talked about it for an hour, I believe, on Sunday. PFL finally has a show, has a date, has fight announcements, has posters. They're finally doing the PFL versus Bellator. Crazy, like crazy. Elle, I sent you the picture. What's the first thing that just pops in your mind when you see that?
I literally was like, I already knew Johnny's fight, so that one wasn't brand new news. But I literally got to look at it for 2 seconds because we were trying to get in the car to our doctor's appointment. So, but I saw Clay Collard and AJ McKee, and that sounds like a really, really fun fight to me.
So good.
That was
That's the best fight.
Out.
We love us some Johnny, so I will give Johnny co-headlining title versus title, champion versus champion. So I love that. But yeah, I'm not trying to sugarcoat a little bit. That AJ McKee versus Clay Collard fight is absolutely bananas. Like, sign me up. Sign me up. I think the Van Auken house is literally going to buy this pay-per-view if we can't get to Saudi Arabia for it. Like,
let's go. Well,
I know I'm low-key bitter that it's in Saudi Arabia. I'm like, why you gotta be like that? Like have it over here, you know?
Anywhere else, all of us would probably even be there live. If it was in Atlanta, Washington, Vegas, Orlando, we would be there live. But it's in Saudi Arabia. I guess we just mentioned Clay Collard. We'll give that a little bit of love. Off the bat rip, Elle, what do you think about the main event? Do you love it being the heavyweights, Bader and Renan Ferrao, who doesn't have a lot of buzz around that name? Do you think it's good that they went that route? What's your gist on that being the main event?
I've already kind of shared this with you. I don't love the unification fights until they're actually unifying the organizations, because I just think that no matter what, this is kind of a lose-lose situation for them, because if they're going to move forward with Bellator and PFL being separate, then why have their champs fight and devalue one of your champs? Because the one that loses is going to be devalued, and Bader already has a huge name. And I think that while I understand this is a great opportunity to build up a guy like Renan, like you said, who's a little bit newer on the scene, doesn't have as much buzz around his name, I think that devaluing Bader in the event that Renan wins that fight is also not necessarily the best thing for these champs and these organizations. But it's definitely an interesting fight because we don't see a lot of heavyweights with Bader's wrestling ability. So it's always interesting to me when you have a good wrestler heavyweight.
And Maddie, I don't want to jump in and just totally take over. I love when you lead the ship. I just there's just some things that are just in my freaking mind. I'm just
let it fly, man. Let it fly. What
happens? And this is all three scenarios. What happened if all the PFL champions win? They go 5 for 5, they sweep, they all win. What happens if all 5 Bellator champions win? And it's we're the PFL, we're the head of this snake, but we just got trounced 5-0. And then in the weird way, maybe even worse, what happens if they kind of split? It's a 2-2 and one's a Yankee split decision. And it's it could just be weird. And then of course, that man is just so damn handsome. You don't have to show him again. I like being the best looking guy on this screen.
I have no idea we're talking about him.
You want to hurt your feelings.
I know. Just what happened if they split? It just feels wonky. And then the last thing, Maddie said it right off the rip, and let's just go there. There's no damn Kayla Harrison. There's no Cyborg. That's the fight we all wanted if they did the thing, and that's not the fight. What are we doing?
It's confusing. So just forgive me for being behind potentially on this, but is it set in stone that they are going to keep them separate, or are they merging? Like, have they officially decided?
They haven't. They haven't done that, but
so in that sense, if they haven't officially decided, I see this card as kind of like a buzz card. Like, let's get the eyeballs back on our organization. Let's show everybody why we're doing the PFL and Bellator together. And maybe this is almost like an experiment of some sort to see how the different levels of talent differ. Or maybe it like shows that this was a smart move for the roster. It feels very experimental to me.
I agree. And Maddie, that's a good point. But my problem is, if they're like if they don't know what's next, that's an issue right off the rip. If they don't know what's happening in March, April, and May, that's a problem. Second thing is, if they think they're gonna, if they're haven't decided that they are gonna split, and what happened if they aren't like, yeah, we're gonna split, and then Bellator champions Johnny Eblen goes 5-0 and they sweep PFL. The PFL champions are shit. Like I can never watch a PFL show and be like, oh, who's gonna be champion? It doesn't mean anything. You just got swept by Bellator. Like, it's a dangerous road that they did. It's dangerous.
So we just got a good comment in, and now I'm curious. Greg saying, is this card going head to head with the UFC Mexico card?
February 24th. Yeah, I believe so. Off the top of my head, I think that is Brandon Royval versus Brandon Morano.
So yeah, coming February 24th, and then UFC Mexico. Is that the same day? Let's see.
That's a tough
it is the same day. It is the same day.
Ortega versus Yair Rodriguez?
Yeah, good call, Greg. But what I think is going to happen, though, if it's in Saudi Arabia, you can almost guarantee it's going to be a day card, right?
Oh, that's horrible.
Right. So 100%. No, that's a perfect point. Yeah.
Is it horrible though? Because people are going to be excited for UFC Fight Night that night in Mexico. Maybe they get a little warm up watching this first.
Yeah.
I have spent 5 years of my life, every ounce of being, every time and thing I have in my body, to MMAing and to Fight Bananas and everything in nature. I got 4 freaking kids at home. I can't say, hey, darling, Saturday I'm going to sit at 10:30 and start the Saudi Arabia show because I got to see AJ McKee and Clay Collar. That's going to go to 5 p.m. and be like, okay, let's do dinner for me. Let's go to Taco Bell so I can get a cheesy gordita crunch and then spend 6 hours watching UFC Mexico, watching Brian Ortega or Yair Rodriguez. I can't do it.
Dave, not everybody has 37 kids. All right? Sorry. Like, some of us can't. Some of us can't all day.
I could see Grant and I doing a 12-hour MMA marathon that day. I could see that happening.
You guys are so damn lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Are you doing this comment, Maddie?
Yeah, I thought we were all coming to Dave's house for this pay-per-view. I was
down.
Just under the impression that we were crashing Dave's party.
Yep. Yeah, you can help us take the kids to the park in that hour in between time that we might get. It's just, man, I'm so happy that we got a fight poster. Me and Maddie, me and Elle, we're talking about it on Sunday. We're like, what is PFL doing? It's 2024. I see no fight posters. I don't see anything going on. You knew Secret Service sauce with Johnny Eblen giving you all the gossip. Thank you so much for letting us know. You're a great friend. But then for it to be in Saudi Arabia during the day on a huge UFC show, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels very much like piggybacking on the star of the show, but I'm trying to look at it from the media standpoint, and there are a lot of positives to doing something like that, because you're going to get those people that are just kind of shooting the shit during the day, getting ready for the fight night at night. And hey, what's all this buzz about Bellator and PFL coming together? What's the deal? Like, a lot of curiosity, I think, is going to be in their favor if they market this correctly. If they take the time to market it correctly, I think that they could get some serious traction. But they have shown in the past that they have struggled with that, and they have struggled to market it correctly. Johnny Eblen should be a mega superstar at this point.
100%.
And
absolutely agree.
He is every fighter's favorite fighter type of guy, and it's like, I hope and pray that this new era, you see more development, you see evolution in how they decide to market these people. So I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of missing pieces, but I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt.
And lastly on this, and I know it's like, I don't want to be so of negative on it, but like to all just get this drop on a Tuesday at 12:40.
So random.
Yeah, and not even there's no single fight posters out there. I just checked. It's literally just one skinny wallpaper. Like there's no even PFL like on their site right now on their socials. There's not a poster of Impa and Johnny Eblen like this. Seize the throne. Like, why is that not a thing? Like, there's no fight posters.
And
like,
why announce the whole card at once? Why not utilize the anticipation of dropping Clay Collard and AJ McKee and let people buzz about that for a few days? You know, like that alone. Yeah. I saw Aaron Pico on there too, but I didn't get a chance. I literally just glanced at his name. Who is Pico fighting?
He's fighting Braga, who it's super sad news. He's the one, his father just passed away like last night, this morning. I don't know if you saw that. Super sad. Really great guy. I met him and he did the Challenger Series in Orlando, I think twice, actually. Super good guy. Like, you know, awesome to interview. Great stuff. He went to the finals for the $1 Million tournament, lost in the finals. But Aaron Pico, Ali Walsh, who's someone I think all three of us interviewed his first pro fight. It looks like Clarissa Shields is on the card. I just saw that at the bottom of the thing. But no Kayla Harrison, no Cyborg. And I just, when you do champion versus champion and all five of them, I'm telling you, like, just God forbid if Bellator sweeps, that is bad news. That is bad.
Is that what your gut is telling you?
Ryzen did it. Ryzen did it with Bellator, and I feel like almost all the Ryzen champs lost. I'm pretty sure, and it was not good for them.
Mix, Craig.
That's the catch-22 of doing something like this. You are literally going out on your shield. Like, all right, let's see how this plays out. Hopefully, it plays in our favor. But yeah, that's breaking news this morning or this afternoon rather from the PFL. They have announced their first card of 2024. And that's going down in February. So we'll see how it plays out in the coming weeks. Just insanity.
I'll get the show back on the train tracks, Maddie. You can get us back on those train tracks.
I'll do what I can. I think let's do a couple of takeaways from the fights this weekend. First card of the new year. You know, we got our first finish of 2024. A lot of good moments, a lot of slow ass walkouts. What else? Jim Miller being Jim fucking Miller.
Yes.
What were some of your favorite moments over the weekend?
My first two takes, Elle, then you can definitely run with it. One, Jim Miller's an absolute legend, future Hall of Famer. He essence so much what I think so many people love about mixed martial arts and especially the UFC. He has a lot of that bundled, and I'm so excited that he came out healthy. So excited that it looks like he is a definite for UFC 300. If it's Paul Felder or Matt Brown, all that, love it. And then number two, guys, I don't know because it was the last thing I just saw. We haven't saw fights for a month. Ankalaev sold me. I think he's going to be the next UFC light heavyweight champion. Like when he fights for the title, I think he's going to win the title. I think Ankalaev can wrestle, stand, counter, kick. If he can just work and check a goddamn leg kick once in his life, I think Ankalaev is that guy. He hasn't lost a fight in 6 years, 7 years, like something like that.
A minute.
Yeah, it's so funny. Ankalaev did the same exact thing that Makhachev did. One quick loss early in the UFC career and then just went on a run. He's so damn underrated.
Hang on, though. Let's compare those two losses because Islam got knocked out. Ankalaev tapped with a second left in the entire fight, in a fight that he was dominating.
You're saying he's not this, the IQ isn't 100% there, you're saying, Miss Elle Dawson?
Maybe. I don't know. I can't imagine, like, the shame I would feel for the rest of my life.
1 second, bro.
He was dominating.
Yeah.
Things happen. You can't hear. Like, maybe I'm sure he didn't know how much time was left, but like two different scenarios. But absolutely, yeah. Only loss in quite some time.
Yeah, quite some time. So that's my two, Jim Miller and Ankalaev. That's like they just leaped off the screen to me.
I get that, and that right hook was solid from Ankalaev to get it done, and he's incredibly consistent. he just falls flat for me sometimes. Like I just like he's incredibly talented, clearly. I mean, the record speaks for himself, but there's something just I don't know. Does he have that it factor? I don't know. Like I feel like
that's fair, by the way, Maddie.
You know,
I do think that's fair because
he may
he's
not be the most exciting guy, but like he is absolutely skilled. Like I think that. Yeah, like he's so well rounded as well. Like he really can wrestle. I know he doesn't a whole lot for a Dagestani, but he absolutely can wrestle as well.
That's a t-shirt, a Dagestani. That's how you said it. That was good.
I have to wonder though, and you know, I was gonna bring this up, but that right hook was fantastic, and he's an incredibly well-rounded fighter. But was that knockout a reflection of Johnny Walker's inability to recover? Because I feel like Johnny Walker is just showing that he has a lack of ability to recover properly. Like I feel like a different fighter would have absolutely gotten knocked down, but they would have responded differently. And I actually had to go back and look at Johnny's record to see how many times he's been knocked out. I was surprised to see that it wasn't too many, but I just feel like he has a really hard time recovering after heavy shots, which makes me doubt what's next for Johnny Walker at all. But it was an impressive finish. It was a very impressive finish, and I'm excited to see what Ankalaev does for the rest of the year, because I mean it set him up for a pretty solid year. So,
like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Like a little bit of Johnny Walker's losing the fight. I'm just going to give it all that energy to how great Ankalaev looked. I thought he looked good the whole fight. I actually really liked his aggressiveness and his pace. Sometimes you need to make a statement. Sometimes a win is different if you just get a win, unanimous decision, or you get a big-time finish. And out of all people, in a weird way, Ankalaev needed it. Like just how his last fights went, the murky decision with Blachowicz, and then just the DQ. Like he needed a stamp to really get his name back in that Jamal Hill. And is Izzy moving up? Is Alex Pereira moving up? Like there's so much stuff going on. Ankalaev could say, like, okay, I'm a legitimate number one contender in the division. What's up? Like, he made that statement last Saturday.
Yeah.
I agree. Absolutely.
Go ahead, Al.
You have to go out. How much longer you got with us?
8 minutes.
Okay.
We have to talk about the Mario Batista Ricky Simone fight, because that fight was absolutely incredible. Like, we need to talk about that before I have to get off. That was my
let it rip.
Like, I feel like they're both really similar guys. I did pick Simone in that fight.
Me too.
He's been one of those guys that I've just wanted. I think he's my other Phil Hawes. Like, I want Phil Hawes to do great things, and I just think he's such a talented guy. But I think, I don't know if it's the chin. I don't know if he's just can't put it together. I don't know what it is, but I always think Phil Hawes is going to smoke people, and I'm wrong a lot, unfortunately. I think he's a super talented guy. He's got a lot of skills, and I feel the same way about Ricky Simone, which by all means, it was a very close fight. But, man, Mario Batista's just his pressure against the cage and his volume. Like, that dude never stopped throwing. We watched the fights with some friends of ours, and our friend's girlfriend had not watched a whole lot of fights, and she was like glued to the TV. She's like, oh, this is the best one. Like, for that, if you need to get a casual fan more engaged in MMA, make them watch that fight, because it was just a killer. The grappling was great. The striking was great. Yeah.
Elle, that's such a great point. I love that you said that, because we all the time I try to grab more casual or just normal people, mainstream people into MMA.
People.
I know, because we are definitely not normal.
No.
It's just at least we're honest about it. We know it up front. But it's just that's good. And that was easily by far Mario's best performance to date. And in a weird way, some people just develop it. Like if he fights like that, like there's not a lot of people on this planet that can beat him. Like if he fights like that, that develops into a 5-round fight. He looked awesome. Yeah, give credit where credit's due. And I do want to say, Elle, you can Venmo or Cash App me later, but my kids didn't eat lunch today because I did bet $20 on your underdog pick of Phil Hawes.
Oh, tell the kids I'm sorry. I'm sorry that their dad is so impulsive.
I love
Very
it.
true. Very true.
I love it. Well, Elle, before you have to leave us, I know your trip is almost done. Let's head towards this weekend. First pay-per-view of the weekend. We're going to Canada. A lot of great fights. What are you looking forward to the most on this one?
I'm obviously looking forward the most to Sean Strickland and du Plessis, and just understanding what on earth that fight is going to look like, because they both have such awkward styles. But right up there with that fight for me is Movsar Evla versus Arnold Allen. Like, killer fight. Obviously, I'm biased because Movsar is my teammate. But I feel like this is a really great test for Movsar. I think it's a good matchup for him. And Dave, I'm really excited to see what he can do. I think people kind of just haven't talked about Movsar as much lately because he had some fights fall through. He was injured. He had a less than perfect performance against Diego Lopez, who lately has looked really, really good. So I think it's a really cool opportunity. It's just a good fight in general, but it's also a cool opportunity for him to become part of the title contention conversation again.
What's with all the faces?
What are you rolling your eyes at, Dave?
The correct answer is that Fight Bananas' family, Joey the Savage Robertson, is fighting Saturday.
Oh my God.
Hey, all right.
Of course, that's the thing I'm most excited for. You were distracting me. No, I'm super pumped for Jillian to fight. This is a fun matchup. She's fighting Luana, correct?
Yes.
It's
a great
really
matchup
fun
for her.
matchup.
She's always had, I feel like, tough matchups or fought in a like if you look, she's fought against two, maybe even two champions if Silva wins in the co-main event, and 4 title challengers. It's like, dude, as someone who's never been in the top 10 or top 5, like that's crazy to think. Like she's always been outside. She's always fought the toughest fight. I think this one, not to jinx it, is a great matchup for her. And
knock the fuck on wood right now, Dave. Jesus Christ!
But I'm not gonna lie. A close second. I just watched the countdown before we did this. That Strickland du Plessis, like that like they sold me. Like I order every pay-per-view, I watch everything and every fight night, but god dang, that main event is like, I'm on pins and needles. Like I cannot wait. Like they sold me on that fight. That's where the UFC conquers PFL and Bellator. Like that fight trumps any fight that PFL and Bellator can do right now because the story behind it and the connectivity that we have with those guys.
Does the UFC promote their fights well? Absolutely. But Sean Strickland does not need help promoting himself. That motherfucker can sell himself. No problem. Okay? This dude, he came out and said that he will stab du Plessis.
Oh, I love
Did you see this quote? So
he messaged him on Instagram and said, hey, if you bring up the dad thing again at a press conference, like it's over. I'm going to stab you. They're going to put me in jail. The fight's over. Everything we train for, we don't get paid. Bring that shit up. I'm going to stab you. He literally said it was so good.
And I'm over here like,
usually I would say I don't believe you, but I believe Sean Strickland.
I believe him.
I believe him 100%. I believe that he's going to have trouble getting over the border because that motherfucker's probably packing, trying to get into Canada, being like, I need to bring my guns or some shit. Like,
didn't he have trouble getting to another country for a fight once? Am I remembering this correctly?
I do not doubt it.
Australia, right?
Yeah. He mentioned that. He mentioned that something about it being imported and like they like not the UFC did him a favor, but like if you're main eventing a UFC pay-per-view, like probably Dana can pull a little strings. So, but he said something about being imported and just in jail. He goes, I'm fine with it. I'll be in jail. Like, I'm like, oh my God.
Okay. So not only is the drama behind it, like they both have been chirping a lot. They've both been saying their things, but they are both very talented fighters that bring a very different vibe to the cage. This one's hard to call because Elle, like you said, they are both very unorthodox.
Yeah.
It's like, where is this gonna go? I just this one's hard for me to even like put into like words.
It's so funny, and this is my take, Elle, and I know you got to go. And there's actually one thing I want to say to you before you leave, but just on this fight to me only goes 2 different ways. It's like crazy to say this, and I could be dead wrong, and if I am. Like Strickland's gonna dominate push the pace, use the jab, kind of what he did to Izzy Adesanya, might even go all 5 rounds and just Strickland dominate, or Duplessis is going to like kind of TK him, kind of what he did to Whitaker. Like, I don't see this like a barn burner. I don't see it back and forth. Like, one man is going to dictate the pace and dictate how they dance, and whoever does it will win. Like, there's just no middle ground I see in this fight. I could be totally off. Okay, there you go. So
no, I 100% agree. I don't see this being close.
Yeah, it's
but I have no idea what's going to happen.
One or the other.
So would you say it's the mental game then? Like whoever comes in?
Nah, I think they're both competitors. I don't think that either guy struggles with that. I think it's just a style. This is a style game, and it's easy. It's sometimes easy to see how these awkward styles will match up against other people, but a lot of times we're wrong. Like Sean Strickland and Izzy and Duplessis and Whitaker, like nobody expected their styles to match up well against those guys, and then to have 2 guys with those style. Aw, you got it framed. Oh, look how cute we are.
Adorable.
Look at that, dude.
Look at us. Look at our little pic.
Dave's ADHD kicking in.
Huh?
He knows I have to go. I actually do have to go. But
all right, last thing, Elle, I know you'd be super proud of me. Right now, every Tuesday for the rest of January, I'm fasting. I'm not eating on Tuesdays. I'm fasting. I'm miserable right now. It's 120.
Why would I be proud of you for that? Don't do that, Dave. You're supposed to consult me before you do nutrition things. Who told you to fast all day?
His reason is noble.
It's a church thing, Elle. I thought you'd be super proud.
Oh, never mind. No, do that. Don't listen to me.
I'm praying a lot on Tuesdays.
Don't do it for nutrition reasons. Do it for God.
It might help.
Yeah.
Might help, but Tuesdays I'm fasting and I'm dying. I need your help. I'll talk to you off air. All right.
All right. Love you guys.
Bye, Elle.
Elle Dawson's the best. She's just one of the best humans on this planet. Love
she really is. She's like, all right, do it for God. That's fine. That's fine. That's so great. I still can't believe that's what you're doing, though.
I'm so done. I should have said no candy. There's so many things.
Why would you pick Tuesday when you know that you have to speak on live podcast for an hour?
That's exactly why I did it, because I knew I'm someone like my mind is continuously working, and with this show I get tied up. So like, other than me bringing it up myself selfishly, like I haven't thought about it in the last 30 minutes because we're just flowing. I can't believe 30 minutes is done in the show already. I got 2 hours of notes right here sitting next to me. So I just felt like this show would give me something during the lunchtime and it would sneak me past it. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's keep the distractions rolling. Let's dive a little deeper into UFC Canada here. It's a Jillian Robertson fight week.
Yes.
So exciting. So exciting. Do you know if she's in Canada yet? She's got to be, right?
Yep, she is. She just saw earlier today. She already flew in. It's 15 degrees right now and everything is white. Another friend is in Canada too. I just talked to, and it's crazy. They are not liking it. It is cold. And it's funny too, because an MMA reporter put it out there. It's a pretty damn good point. Maybe they should do the UFC Canada shows during the summer. Like, this is horrendous weather and time. The Buffalo Bills, my Buffalo Bills just won yesterday. They couldn't even play on Sunday because of like the weather and the travel.
Those pictures and videos were wild.
So cool. Wasn't that so cool?
It was cool, but like from at home.
Yeah.
You wouldn't catch me dead over there.
No. I would love to travel to the game. I would take my son Dylan to go, but like there was a travel ban ongoing. We couldn't fly into Buffalo. You couldn't do it.
The only people allowed to travel were the ones that were shoveling the stadium. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
There was like a little sub clause in the travel ban Sunday, where it was like the only people allowed to travel are the ones helping clear out the stadium. I love it.
Greg, keep this shit coming, dude. You have been definitely the best comment guy of the day. I'm loving it.
I love it.
He's going to be there at UFC 297. So
dope.
I know, Maddie, you got like 8 things to go, so I'll let you go.
Well, yeah, I'm just looking into this card and I'm like looking at all these names, and it's a lot of people are calling it like meh. But when you look at it a little deeper, there's I think there's some good matchups here. Can you confirm if Chris Curtis has returned to X, formerly Twitter? Because remember how did you hear about how he left X after all this Ian Gary nonsense?
No, I actually did not. Chris Curtis, let me look him up.
Yeah. So long story short, he decided to defend Ian Gary, and basically he got trampled on X by a bunch of haters. So he was like, deuces, I'm out of here. And I'm curious if he ever returned to Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. I know he's on Instagram. That's going to be a good fight. That's always a fun fight.
That is a good fight. He is not on X. Nope, not on it.
Wow, y'all bullied him right off of the app. That's wild. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty good. Well, maybe he can, get some good press rolling with this fight coming up.
Savage is on the card. Love that. Cannot wait to watch that fight. Dude, I'm a huge Mike Malott guy. Mike Malott has
this was the fight I was going to next.
Right. He always is busy on Tuesday afternoon. That's why he's never been on like the live show with us. But I've done like 3 podcasts with just Mike Malott. Absolute stud. Group, like really good fighter, better guy. Like just a really cool guy. Like sometimes we go 5-7 minutes before we start to record. I'm like, Mike, we got to go. Like this is amazing. I love talking to you, but let's record. Awesome guy. He's on the card. Like he's the featured fight on the pay-per-view. So they're giving him a lot of press. The co-main event, just going to be brutally honest, it's like maybe one of the worst co-main events in the history of pay-per-view. It is. No one wants to watch the fight other than those two beautiful young ladies and their families. Sorry, it is what it is. And then the main event's amazing. Like it's it's so like someone who's in it shouldn't be so hooked, line, and sinkered. They got me. Like I cannot get enough of this fight. I'm watching every little thing on YouTube. I'm like a fangirl of this fight.
They had to oversaturate with this fight because it's the only fight that is selling this card, unfortunately. Because if you are a fair weather MMA fan, the only reason you are watching this fight is for the main event. Us, UFC fans, MMA fans, there's plenty of fights on this card where you're like, all right, dope. Like Jillian Robertson's fighting, Neil Magny versus Mike Malott. That's going to be a great fight, I think. You did bring up Mike Malott, and I want to touch on that before we move on. There was a great comment here. I think most of the Canadian fighters have favorable matchups this weekend. Mike Malott is going up against Neil Magny.
Yep.
Is that a favorable fight for Mike Malott? Do you consider Neil Magny a journeyman at this point?
Oh, so I'm gonna say like yes and no. I agree with what you're saying, but then I disagree.
Yeah.
I don't think Neil Magny's a journeyman. Neil Magny's had a great UFC career. Most wins in the UFC history, more than George St. Pierre, more than Usman.
I didn't know that.
More than Leon Edwards, the most wins in UFC history. So it's just saying that you're like, wow, Neil Magny, really good fighter. I do think he's a tad not like Neil Magny in 2020 is a different fighter. And now 2024, we just saw what he did against Ian Gary. That prospect moving up did not look good. And to me, this is like close to the same thing. Mike Malott, a really hot prospect moving up. Like, I get what the UFC is doing. And Neil Magny's going to be like, hey, I'm going to shove this up your ass. Or Mike Malott's going to go literally right through him, hot knife, butter, so on, and Mike Malott will get the win. But no, Neil Magny's had a great career, not a journeyman. I have a lot of respect for Neil. I've heard great things about him. I know people in his training camp says he does. He's a nice guy, in camp, out of camp, helps everyone. So I got a lot of love for Neil Magny. But like I said,
maybe journeyman isn't the right word for it.
I think he's plateaued. I think his better years.
Plateau might be the better word because you're looking at, you can see, like you said, what the UFC is doing. And it very much feels like they are putting him on the chopping block of like, hey, man, get your shit together or don't. Like, we're going to give you the people that we're trying to promote and create.
Yeah.
And you either knock them down or help them rise. Like either one.
Yeah, he could be a late add-on to that PFL and Bellator card. Like, it is what it is.
Oh, yeah. Yikes. Ooh, good call. Did you know, though, that Ian's trash talking from when Ian and Neil Magny fought, did you know that it almost cost him custody of his son? Like, it got that serious?
Oh, no. Oh, on Neil. Yeah, I did see that.
I did not realize it got that serious because now that Neil Magny's Fight Week, all of these articles are popping back up again.
Yeah.
And I caught the one where somebody was interviewing Neil Magny and he was talking about how he is in the midst of trying to get child custody. And He said there were screenshots being taken and put into apps and things like that would be admissible in court, where I'm literally fighting for custody of my children. The way he chose to blow it out of proportion has some pretty significant consequences for me. It was just a lot bigger than just selling pay-per-view. It was literally my children's relationship with me. That is wild. And Ian Gary, what does he do? He doubles down. He basically says, I don't give a fuck what you say. I'm just like, bro, like, stop. Just stop.
And Maddie, you and I are very, I think, until this point, very pro Ian Gary.
Right.
I love the swag.
Right.
I love what he does for the UFC and the division, a lot of that stuff. On that, I really dislike. Like, especially, like, you guys made fun of me about all the kids and on a Saturday thing. Like, there's nothing more important and crucial and vital than that. And honestly, yeah, like I remember hearing that the week after, the 2 weeks after, and like that made me very much like, ooh, that
so
hurts.
cringy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
exactly.
so cringy, like, so heartbreaking that's where it went.
Kind of what like Strickland said, like, dude, and I say this all the time, and even when people don't disagree with me or something, hey, come after me. I'm a man. I'm almost 40. You could say whatever you want to me. You can say my hair looks bad that day. I have a bad wardrobe. You don't like my car, whatever. I'm fine. But like when you kind of cross that line and bring kids involved or your significant other involved, it's like, bro, like, or, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
And Strickland saying, hey, you can make fun of how I fight. You can make fun of how I talk or my, how American kind of dumb he is or whatever. Like that's all game. But if you bring up my dad, doing horrible shit to you as a kid and not being able to protect yourself, like you cross the line. And he said it. He's like, that line won't be crossed. He said it. If he does it.
The king of trash talking is setting a boundary. That's when you know it's legit. It's like, all right, there's levels to this shit.
Yeah.
But either way, this fight card, I think this is going to be a great first pay-per-view for the year. Regardless of the womp co-main and like, and this is a woman talking about how it's a womp co-main. Like,
so bad.
And we're just going to leave it at that. Like, we're going to be nice. We're going to leave it at that, but it's going to be good. Can't wait to see what Jillian does. She's going to knock it out of the park. But it's great. Let's peel back some of these headlines here and take a deeper dive into what's going on in the media these days. Please tell me you know who Billie Eilish is before I continue this story.
Yeah, he's a really good baseball player.
You're fucking dead to me. Okay, so Billie Eilish. I know
Billie Eilish.
Thank God.
Her top 3 songs on YouTube were great. I know exactly who she is.
I fucking hate you.
Anyway, I saw she has sometimes green hair. She had a yellow, blonde, and then with the red hair. Me and Billie were tight. I know.
We're like this.
Dude. I got one of her songs. We're good.
Is Billie Eilish doing MMA though? That is the question. So we all know Billie as the amazing star that comes out with these just gut-wrenching songs that I love to cry to in the shower. But is she doing MMA? There was this video that popped up on my Instagram yesterday, and I had to do a double take. It was a promo by Rev Gear that just kind of, it must have been one of those like just pop-up ads that come through, and it said Billie Eilish knows we are #1 in MMA training and sparring gloves. And this is Billie Eilish wearing them and like kind of like showing it off to the camera, doing like a little bit of this and like flipping off the camera, and like to me it looks like she's probably just working out. But I was like, are we about to see Billie Eilish do a little MMA? But it's really cool to see like mainstream people kind of dive into that world. You had Demi Lovato, who was like going to do it for a while. Like she was like ready to become an MMA fighter, and then drugs. But Billie Eilish, now that is an interesting one. If you can think of a celebrity where you're like, I wish they would fight
Maddie,
MMA.
Before you ask me this great question, I literally just got a text that the PFL is about to offer Billie Eilish a deal right now. Like the PFL would love to sign her. Jake Paul, Francis Ngannou, they love signing people who don't fight for them. So
Billie Eilish is the co-main event. Now, who is she fighting? Who should she fight? Pick a celebrity.
Too soon.
If there was one celebrity where you were like, damn, I kind of wish they were like in my world with the MMA.
Oh, so like would fight or would just be like going to fights? Fight. Dude, two names came to my head right away, and I'm gonna
Really?
go with the second one. Like, give me like The Rock is the biggest star in the world. Like The Rock, biggest action star. He did
That's
professional
good.
wrestling. He did,
That's good.
really high level football. His physique, like if The Rock had a big fight, like I literally think millions, like absolutely millions. They would do the biggest pay-per-view in the history of the UFC if The Rock fought. And then secondly, jokingly, like the name that popped in my head because he does all of his own stunts and has never made a bad movie is Tom Cruise.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that. I like that. I'm going with Chris Pratt, Star-Lord. Hello.
Oh, great
Hello.
one.
I mean, not only is he a badass and like fights in all these fight scenes, but like, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing him in some MMA shorts. I'm just saying.
Hey. Where's Ross at?
He's downstairs. Dawson. Dawson. Billy versus Doja Cat. Hands down.
That's a headliner. That's a PFL co-main event.
That's so good. That's so good. But hey, Billy, if you see this, like, let me know if you need a sparring partner or anything. I got you. A touchdown for Peacock. Huge numbers for its NFL streaming experiment over the weekend. It scored with the NFL's first ever playoff game airing exclusively on a streaming service. So people were losing their minds because, basically cable network television is a thing of the past. You have to buy in.
1999. Come on,
to the NFL. Did you have to buy Peacock to watch the games?
Dude, I know you and Elle definitely, attack maybe my elder statements once in a while, maybe on some pop musicians. But at the Van Auken house, we have literally every streaming service there is. We have kids, so they have to have it.
Yeah.
Not even that, there's reasons to have Peacock. There's shows and movies and even kid movies. They have Minions on it, everything. Like, we don't buy any DVDs anymore. You don't buy movies. They're just all on Amazon Prime. We have it. Peacock have it. HBO Max have it. Netflix have it. We have YouTube TV. Like, we got everything. So, like, and as being a sports fan and a big football fan, and I'm a big Buffalo Bill guy, like, it drove me crazy that everyone was like, it's on Peacock. Yeah, guys, it's 2024. Like, what are you doing?
Fair.
Like,
that's fair. But I think it's just like the principle of it. Because how long has the NFL been around? I don't know. What, the 40s, 50s, 60s?
Yeah, long time.
Long ass time. And there's a lot of loyal fans. And, not everybody wants to buy another streaming service. But that didn't stop them from breaking records. An average audience of 23 million watched the Chiefs versus Dolphins. Most streamed live event in U.S. history. So anything that's ever been streamed, this is the biggest one.
Love it.
It caused the largest internet usage ever in a single day. 30% of traffic was made up of people watching the game.
That's amazing. That really is like
so crazy.
I'm trying to think of what fight like. Imagine this is a good one. I think this is a good one. Maybe I'm way off, but I think it could be as high or close. What happened if they made Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler free on ESPN Plus? And you have to stream it to watch it. I think and it's absolutely free. Who's not watching that fight? Like, what household doesn't have someone who's like, they know Conor McGregor or know of him, want to see the return? Like, I think they can do 15, 18, 20 million households. I think they could.
The problem is the money would line the wrong pockets, if you know what I'm saying. Because I don't think Dana, I don't think anybody at the UFC wants that money anywhere else but with them. So buy the pay-per-view and shut up is basically what they're doing.
And they will.
Yeah.
When that happens, or
when that happens, I mean, we might as well say right here, right now, it will break records.
Yeah. I think it would be the biggest pay-per-view card in the history of combat sports.
Boom. First one to say it. We did it. It's whatever. Speaking of Dana White, though, did you see the leaked text messages about John Jones?
Oh, okay, so help me out a little bit because I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole. I did see him, but like, are they
what is it about?
No. Even I know it's about John and all that stuff, and I know you're gonna kind of go that route. But like, I just didn't see it on one or two sites that I super like is concrete. If that makes sense. Like, I I don't know.
So here's a little bit of the backstory. So this is all centered around 2014. UFC was looking to book Jones and Gustafsson 2, a little rematch.
Yep.
The holdup, according to Dana, was that Jones wanted to fight Cormier instead of Gustafsson. Negotiations on the contract had snagged a little bit. Jones wouldn't sign. So these text messages were released because it is part of the UFC antitrust lawsuit going on right now. Have you heard about the lawsuit?
Yeah, I know the lawsuit. Okay.
So these text messages had to be released because they're being used in the lawsuit. So apparently, Dana, what's up with Jones? Did he straighten up, or is he still being a scumbag to the UFC chairman, Fertitta? Am I saying that right, Fertitta?
Yeah, nailed it.
He responds, still a douche, but we're inching closer. Haven't moved on money, but sent the letter with an ultimatum. White responds, awesome. F that punk, Lorenzo. He needs to know we don't need him, or he will F us over more than he already does. Wow. Ouch. Yeah, so awkward. Cool. So awkward. But like, think about how many group chats you are in.
A lot.
And think about how many out-of-pocket comments you have said in text messages. Yeah. Can you imagine? You got to go to court and they have to read it. I would have been canceled years ago. Years ago. Now, does it make it right what Dana said? Probably not. But this is like, it very much feels like, you know, talking to a coworker about another coworker that you don't really jive with. You know,
I was just going to say that, like, Maddie, like, it's so funny. There's a lot of personal people or friends or whatever. I don't think I've ever like went ham, especially Dana White. Let's just be honest, is John's boss. I've never, I don't think, totally degraded or bashed or just belittled someone who I'm over in a work environment thing. Like, we all got friends and we all got whatever, it's 8 people in a group chat, and like one of them says something stupid. Like, that's just everyone, right? And all of our friends, we have levels of friends, and sometimes our best friends take that extra phone call to talk about the one other friend. But like, that's a work environment thing, especially like, and I know Dana's kind of hopefully grew up through all these years and all that stuff. It's weird that he went that route to John. Like, that's and at that time, John is the biggest star in the game, because that's like Connor's in and out, Rousey's in and out, and like that was John's peak. Like,
I mean, it worries me because this shows me that Dana doesn't see these fighters as humans. He sees them as dollar signs, and it's reflected in situations with the Francis Ngannou thing. Like, he said things where he was like, we don't need you type of comments. And for him to say that to John Jones too, it's like, do you even give a fuck about these people?
Well, it's funny you said, and I get what you're saying, but then I had a great conversation with a buddy before, an hour before the show. Sometimes us just seeing one text or two, like, we don't know what's happening in the house, right? Like, you know, I saw you did a funny story about Ross about the dishes.
Yeah.
So like, if that's all I saw and I didn't work with you guys 3-4 straight days, or just know you guys, like, you'd be like, wow, Maddie's attacking his husband through socials. Like, sometimes, I mean,
our group chat is a perfect example. I sent you a text. You're dead to me.
Yes, there you go. And who other than Ross, what other man on this planet do you love more than me? Right? Like, come on.
My gosh.
So exactly, like, that's what I mean. Like, that's such a great point. Like, we don't know everything else. The 1,000 texts beforehand, the 1,000 conversations beforehand. Some of the things maybe John promised Dana 20 things beforehand and did him wrong. Like, maybe
he was acting douchey.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like, exactly. So
we just don't know. I think the moral of the story is there's two sides to every story.
Right.
There's the one, there's A, there's B, and then there's the truth, right? So who knows?
You can go through your phone or mine and just think of one sentence to all of our best friends, family members. You'd be like, they said that about that person?
Yeah.
So
Wild. I love it. But there's so many other fights coming up outside of the UFC that I think is gonna, attract a lot of attention. Gamebred coming back, baby. We're in the house. I can't wait. March 2nd in Orlando. Headliner is pretty dope, Dave. I'll let you take this one.
All right. I made a video on it. I'm so pumped. Talk to the matchmaker, promoter, all that stuff on a bi-daily basis. He works so hard to get this title match, to get the first ever Gamebred World Heavyweight Championship. Two guys have won the last two main events. Junior Dos Santos and Alan the Talon Belcher for the heavyweight championship. Like, I cannot wait. Like, that fight is going to be so big. It's going to be so good. I think it's going to bring a ton of eyes. I think the momentum of the company is hot and just keeps on getting better. They've already made 2 fight announcements since then. 2 fight announcements that I think you and I both love. So I think the card will be totally great and well-rounded. But to see Dos Santos and Belcher for a world championship on the line in the main event,
I think this is going to be fireworks. I think this is going to be so much fun. And I think we love everybody that fights under the Gamebred banner, 1000%. But my gut is telling me that Belcher is taking this.
Wow.
I do. I think Belcher is absolutely taking this, and it all stems from the post-fight press conference of both Dos Santos and Belcher. Both of them had very different takes on the bare knuckle world. Wow. If you recall, Dos Santos's fight was subpar a little bit. A lot of people were shocked that he didn't get the knockout, that he didn't finish Verdum, right? And in the post-fight presser, he even said he was worried about breaking his hands. He was worried about hurting himself. He was, and then you have Alan Belcher in the post-fight press conference being like, I don't give a shit if I break my hands or not. Like, we are in the fight game. And I feel like that mentality, you have to have that mentality if you're going to fight bare knuckle MMA.
Right. No, it's a great point. It is. The one thing I will come back on a little bit is that Dos Santos, remember that it was amazing. I was hosting that press conference before the fight night, before the card, and they made the announcement of, hey guys, we're having a little mini tournament. We're going to have like a 4-fight round robin. At that night it was Verdum and Dos Santos. The next event was going to be Nelson and Belcher, which happened. And then the winner versus the winner will fight for the championship. And maybe Dos Santos was like, hey, I want to fight for the championship. It's another big payday. It's another main event. It's a world championship. It's a lot, So maybe he thought he didn't want to get hurt in the semifinals, if that makes sense. Because he was winning that fight. His jab was amazing that night. I remember the pictures after Verdum's eye was
from a jab. Oh.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. Maybe he thought the turnaround was going to be a little quicker.
Right.
Maybe we'll see a different version of him. Maybe he just needed to get comfortable. Who knows? But either way, that's going to be so fun.
Cannot wait. So excited for that. Cannot wait.
Love it. Let's see what else. We got, where'd it go?
And real quick, on that card, co-main event, Chase Sherman versus Alex the Spartan Nicholson. Alex Nicholson is a big Orlando guy. Sherman, those are 2 amazing heavy. That fight is not going more than a minute or 2. Both guys just fight like that. It's going to be insane. It's so funny. They just posted both post-fight interviews that I did with those guys in the cage. Both hilarious. Each one of them, if you haven't seen it, go get it on the Gamebred Bare Knuckle YouTube page. And then the third fight they made, a guy who's close to both of ours that we both watched live. This man literally slept on my couch one night. Joe the Party Penafel is back for Gamebred Bare Knuckle.
They can't get rid of that kid.
I know.
I love it.
He is. He's the party. So he's fighting Charles Bennett, who's and I know people are going to be like, oh, his last couple fights, he's one of those legendary guys. He's just especially in bare knuckle, he's that guy. He's the Bennett. He's felony. I'm telling you, when we're there in Orlando, you're going to see him. He's so funny live, what he does in the weigh-ins, and I would assume he's going to be at the press conference. He's hilarious. He is just, and Dean wrote it on the post. He's like, these are 2 of my favorite fighters. It's going to be bananas. And it is. That fight is going to be so much fun. Probably worth the admission, just that fight.
Are tickets on sale?
Wednesday, tomorrow.
Wednesday. All right. So tickets go on sale Wednesday.
When I can finally eat food again.
Hey, you're a psychopath for doing that.
Dude, I'm not going. It's not going well. It's 2:00 almost, and I'm
wild. Wow. Before we wrap things up, let's touch upon Francis Ngannou versus Anthony Joshua having their first face-off. Very amicable, very respected, very respectable. That's going down March 8th in Saudi Arabia. Their estimated purses, not including pay-per-view, this is via Forbes. Any guesses on what Ngannou is projected to make before pay-per-view numbers?
$20 million.
Nailed it. 20 million. How about Joshua?
$50 million.
Did you know?
It's what I do for a living, man. I literally run MMA media.
No way he knows this. How wild is that?
It's wild. It's wild.
Why would you ever fight again? If I'm making $20 million, I don't give a shit if I love the fight game. $20 million. See you later. I ain't doing shit. I ain't doing shit for the rest of my life.
You would never do a live show with me again if I gave you $20 million?
I would be like, Dave, who? What?
You're dead to me. You would have texted me again. You're like,
I love it. I love it. Oh, Greg. Greg's asking if you're going to be doing a betting segment this week.
We will. We're pretty sure tomorrow night live as well. Bet and Bananas. Yeah, we haven't done it in a month. We got to get a guest for that. Yeah, we do. Me and Elle. The last 3 or 4 shows for Bet and Bananas, we had Mike Beast Boy Davis. We had Brian Battle. I think we had Moya Kano, who's fighting next. We had some really cool guests in a row. I think we will. Tomorrow night live, 9 p.m. Eastern time. We will do a Bet and Bananas. Dude, maybe we'll get Jillian the Savage Robertson live in Canada to do it, but I don't know. We'll figure it out.
If I'm Jillian, I don't want to talk to anybody.
I know. Dude,
I don't know.
She's had such a great weight cut. She's loving life. She's
strawweight just makes sense. It makes sense. It's where she is going to succeed. If anything, maybe reach out to Marcus McGee.
By the way, Maddie, I'm how the kids say it, right? I'm gonna give you your flowers here.
Oh, thank you. Oh, yeah.
Dude, that segment was so good. Maddie Levine just had a brand new segment called Meet the Fighter. And she's like, hey, Dave, I think about doing this. I'm like, cool. I love, creative and all that. You're like, I'm going to do it. I'm like, okay, I cannot wait to see it. You do your thing. And it came out. I'm like, dude, this is amazing. Like, this is great. Like,
I was watching the fights over the weekend, and it was honestly my first time watching McGee fight. And my husband Ross is sitting next to me, and he's like, watch this. This is going to be a masterclass in striking. And I was like, ooh, I'm excited because I've followed Gaston Bolaños for a long time because I knew him from the Muay Thai scene. So I'm like, oh yeah, like Gaston's going to be great. And he's like, no, just wait. And I was like, oh, all right. So I immediately was like, who is this guy? Like, I'm opening Google. I'm like, this guy is fucking awesome. Like, so it kind of gave me an idea of doing little snippets of, get to know the fighter thing. So I'm going to try and see, if people like it. People, I got really good responses on that one. So,
it was awesome.
Yeah. So, comment the fighter I should do next. I'm trying to think of who I should spotlight next.
My question for you is, Maddie, should you try to do it? Like, should you do a UFC 297 person before the fight? Like today, tomorrow, like before it happens, or do it after because they have that kind of moment and they get there and it's like, oh, I got to do it on that guy or girl.
Well, there's a benefit to both, right? If you do it before, it's like, ooh, who is she talking about? I have to watch them this weekend. Or do you pick the fighter that had that sensational moment? Yeah. The media reels are already talking about them. It's going to be, so there's pros and cons to both of them. I don't really know what I'm going to do yet. I never know what I'm going to do. I don't know. I don't know. But we'll see. So if there's a fighter you want to know more about, let me know. And I will.
What's your Instagram handle, by the way?
It is Maddie on Air.
Wow. So good.
So good.
Everyone should follow Miss Maddie Levine on Instagram.
MADDIE.
And I know you've been noticing the Fight Bananas game a little bit on TikTok is starting to
I see
amp
you,
up
dude.
a little bit.
I see you.
Amp up a little bit.
I gotta teach you how to TikTok. I gotta teach you Like,
I know. That's what I need a lesson. I'm just like posting the stuff we already post, but like, how do you do like the fun reels
stuff,
that you guys
the fun stuff? Yeah. Well, follow Fight Bananas on TikTok and try not to laugh at what Dave has posted. It's good. It's good. I'm
Your
kidding.
Kanye West one of like 10 months ago was amazing.
My Kanye. Oh yeah, that was a good one.
So good.
That was a good one.
I was like, dude, me and Maddie were cool, but she did the Kanye West one. I was like, all right, we need her under the Fight.
I got a lot of shit for that one, actually. I got a lot of people being like, I can't believe you're giving him the spotlight. I can't believe that you support Kanye West. And I'm like, I'm making fun of him. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Whatever.
And people are just
people love to be a hater. They love it. They love it.
They do.
Whatever.
And
keep hating.
Some people can't move on. Like some people just can't keep the train going.
Right. Right. Well, what an hour. This hour flew by. What a good episode. This was fun. Dawson saying it the best way we can. They hate us because they ain't us. Damn fucking right. You can't sit with us. You can't sit with us, okay? But what a great hour.
Can't sit here. What movie is that from?
I have no idea.
One more time. You ready?
Okay.
Can't sit here.
Can't sit here. I don't know, man.
Dude, that's a classic. One of the greatest movies of all time, Forrest Gump, when he gets onto the bus when he's a kid and he has the braces on and all the kids are like, can't sit here.
And that's like the most obscure line from the most iconic movie.
Hey, look it up.
Do you know what You Can't Sit With Us is from?
Mean Girls.
All right. Touche. Well,
thank you
for joining us this week on another wonderful live.
Push the button, end the show. I can't do anything better than that. Can't do it.
Podcast from the Fight Banana Show. Elle Dawson was a queen and joined us earlier. She's fantastic. I'm Maddie Levine. That's Dave Van Auken. Make sure you're subscribing, you're liking, you're sharing, and we're going to be back next week with a brand new bullshit to talk about. Can't wait.
See you guys next week.